are you doing an all right job? And maybe it's my age, but I've got to the stage going, do you know what, I'm doing all right. My mum still asks me if I get over. Will you get overtime? My kids have no idea what I do. They think I just spend my time in Pret, so they won't. They don't really let me get ahead of myself. And why should I? If you look at the profession, we are not making progress. And if you can't have a senior partner who's cheerleading, what's the point? I thought about it for a nanosecond. I'd be dreadful at it. I think people would laugh if I said I'd do it.
Hi, and welcome to the latest episode of But Is It Legal with me, your host, Simon Marshall. I'm here today with Rachael Heenan, who is the senior partner of Capsticks. And Rachel, it'd be great if you could start out by telling us a bit about yourself and your role as senior partner at Capsticks.
Good morning. I am Rachel. Thank you for having me on. People often ask about the senior partner role, and no day is the same, and I think that's what I like about it. But I think it's also different in every firm. It depends on your managing partner. It depends on the type of firm and your skill set. So I sort of wrote down what I've sort of done over the last week, just to give you give you a give you a flavour of it. It's very much external and client focused. It's very much ambassador, executive chair. So it's this week has been advice to clients, one-to-ones with partners, coaching sessions, coaching people. We did a reciprocal mentoring program launch. I had partnership meetings. I did a strategy conference last week. And also, sort of what I say, the day job, preparing for mediations or giving employment advice to clients. Someone once described it that what I do is quietly get on in the background and sort stuff out and make things happen and try and create the right conditions for people. And I quite like that description. So yeah, it's a joy, an absolute
There are a
joy.
lot of employment lawyers who make it into the management. I mean, I think about Burgess Salmon too at the top, with Roger and Chris, Julian and Simmons. When I think about it, there's a lot of employment lawyers make it. So, what is it do you think that allows employment lawyers, employment partners to come in?
Well, Martin Hamilton's an employment lawyer as well.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it's the law. It's the small print in this new bill that's come out. I think it's about people, isn't it? In that you get drawn to the law because you're interested, but I think employment lawyers are interested in the stories and the narrative around that, as well as the sort of quite technical bits of the law. So I think that's probably, and I think if you're interested in people, then you should be all right running a firm, because it's not just about the numbers. People is the biggest resource that you've got.
The senior partner role.
Do I love it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. It's a huge privilege, but it's, I think throughout your career you always sort of worry, are you good enough? Are you doing an all right job? And maybe it's my age, but I've got to the stage going, do you know what, I'm doing all right. I'm helping others, and it's not, leadership isn't about you actually, it's
Yeah.
about getting the next generation of lawyers through. And that's the bit I find when people get promoted or come into the equity. That's just so rewarding, or get their training contracts. It's all those moments that matter in your career, and you will always remember that point, won't you? That's what's really important. Yeah, and also we laugh a lot. We laugh a lot in this job. Normally at each other amongst the senior management team, but that's so important to laugh every day, isn't it?
Think that's right. It's nice. I think a senior partner that's willing to kind of share those milestones with you, proverbially put their arm around your shoulder when they need to as well. It's really important. Those firms that have got that, I think the luxury of having a senior partner in that role is welcome. You never fancy doing the managing partner role?
I thought about it for a nanosecond. I'd be dreadful at it. It's very operational, and I'd probably get a bit bored with it. The sort of, I like going out and seeing people. I love the client. The fact I can still, most senior partners still do a bit of client work,
Yeah.
I think. And that's important for the market positioning and understanding your clients. So no, oh no, I'd be dreadful. I think people would laugh if I said I'd do it.
I described it to Emily and Natasha at Forsters a while ago. I said, I think the role of the managing partner is to take the firm to the world, and the role of the senior partner is to bring the world to the firm.
Yeah, I like that.
Something
Yeah,
like that, isn't it? You
yeah.
Tell me a bit about the day job then, because not just employment law, but mediation within employment as well, and then specifically within healthcare predominantly. Is that right?
No, I do mediation quite a lot in the legal profession actually.
Okay.
And again, that's about stories, isn't it? And people and helping people work through a problem that they've got.
Mm.
Quite often, individuals have never got in a room and had that difficult conversation, but doing it in a facilitated and safe manner. And quite often they leave the room together and they go for coffee and it's a real success story. And I think as a litigator, I always took the approach that I would normally pick up the phone to my opponent and say, come on, let's not be idiots here. And that's sort of rolled into the mediation stuff. So yeah, it's haven't really marketed it, but it's sort of word of mouth gets round that you get someone sensible who can. And I go in sometimes and think this is never going to work, and I'm always surprised by the power of it. So yeah,
There's so
it's
much
really
energy lost to those disputes,
yeah,
otherwise, you within a
yeah.
partnership. And I think, what I just heard you say was it's about being heard, isn't it, in the room? Like if you get to hear each other's opinions and respect them again, and remember your partners again, actually, that can be a really
Because there comes a point in time where you have to move on from something, isn't there? And you can tell each other how you feel or what you want, but that's not going to help you have a happy life in the future, is it? Holding on to that thing that you're really fed up about. You've got choices, and there gets to a point where after about an hour in a mediation, you think, okay, well, I can't deal with the past. Let's just let what could make the future better, and that's when the real dynamic changes, and that's the really fascinating bit about it.
love to be a fly on the wall for some of those conversations.
All
I think
confidential.
what I thought, there must be a magic moment at which I think that the experience you've got allows you to discern when's the time to get people to stop looking at the past and start looking at kind of shared futures.
Yeah.
That's the gift, isn't it? Is realizing that.
Yeah, and being able to hold the mirror up to them and say, "Really? Why does that matter?
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Still thinking about this dispute?" Um,
I,
so yeah.
I, I don't know if you know, but I was briefly a kind of legal recruiter. I don't talk about it very much because I was quite good at it, but I didn't really enjoy it very much. But you had so many wounded souls coming to see you on a regular basis, and you can't place someone who's in that place, right?
Yeah.
You've got to work with people first. It might be for weeks and months to get them to understand. Okay, you've got to be whole and complete again, and then we're ready to go, right? And that's okay.
I think, yeah, and the other part I do is coaching. So that's a
Okay.
sort of relatively new development. So this is a pitch if anyone would like some coaching, or even just to chat about it, because I think there is, COVID brought the whole person to work. We talked about it, but we got everything, didn't we? And I think as an employer, you've got to understand what's going on in people's lives to get the best out of them. And sometimes they get stuck and need a bit of help to get out of that. So that's another really sort of rewarding part of the job, I think.
I think there's a point of maturity in that kind of partnership track as well, where partners realize it's okay to go and ask for that help as well. And it's over the length of your career now, given the length of the drag from the lower echelons of fixture all the way through to plateau, and maybe leadership, it's going to happen to you at some point. You're going to need that nudge to get you where you need to. And the sooner the better. The sooner you're comfortable with the idea of being coached, being coachable, seeking that advice, I think is a good thing.
I think you should have it throughout your career. I think when you look at the next generation coming through, the one thing that we can do to them is offer coaching throughout. I mean, we have it on a regular basis as a management team. We have a corporate coaching, and that has enabled us to perform and continue to perform and work really well together. So I think it's really powerful.
Congrats on the Best Companies Award. That's lovely. What do you think it tells people about the business that you're winning an award like that?
I just think that people actually really like working at Capsticks. The quotes that we've had back is
Mm,
about people feel surrounded by talented, high quality individuals, but who make work enjoyable.
yeah.
And that we've all had jobs, haven't we, where we're really miserable. Actually,
Mm,
it's trying to make work a place that you want to go to, alongside working with the clients who do such amazing jobs. So really making a difference. So yeah, the overwhelming feedback is about the people. So I can't take any credit for that. That's about them.
no, but the thing I've noticed with you on your use of LinkedIn, which is how we first came across each other, is I think you, and please don't take this as a weird thing, but I think you cheerlead quite a lot for the firm, right? I think you are one of the senior partners who Yeah, we'll share your own comments on there, but you regularly share other people's successes or say a kind word or
Absolutely, absolutely. And as I said previously, it's the best bit of the job. And if you can't have a senior partner who's cheerleading, what's the point? You know, what's the point of being senior partner if you're not? I mean, not Dallas Cowboy style, obviously, but
well,
it's
unpaid apparently as well. When you
with injuries.
yeah, you're there was a description of you, I think, in one of the directories as kind of refreshingly down to earth. I love that phrase as well. Where does that come from?
But I was born in Liverpool, and I'm from a big Irish Welsh family who have no idea what I do. My mum still asks me if I get over. Will you get overtime? No, somebody won't like that. My kids have no idea what I do. They think I just spend my time in Pret, which I do a lot of the time. So I think the other thing is my partner is a policeman. So I can't really moan about my day, can I? I'm so privileged, such a fabulous job with great clients. And he's dealing with kids who have not eaten and the most deprived areas and a massive mental health and social care crisis. Just feel really, 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 really lucky. But so you can't. So they don't really let me get ahead of myself. And why should I?
No, I think that's I mean, I'd say that's one of the attributes. I live in Bristol, and that's one of the attributes of the city is nobody will ever let you get ahead of yourself. Liverpool and Bristol very similar, I think, like that as well. I was in Liverpool yesterday. I think we were crossing paths as we were traveling
Yeah.
at the same time. Tell me, if you hadn't been an employment lawyer, did you do another seat that you would have kind of been attracted to?
So I was a bar. I joined the bar. So I had this really weird. I was thinking about why did I become a lawyer? I like the stories, and then there was this fantastic role models like Rumpole and Kavanagh QC. I mean, white male role models. But I really like the stories. My dad was a prison governor, so there was this sort of connection with the justice system. So I think, other than the pay, I would probably like to do crime or family. And there's still a little, maybe I could go back when I retire and do that sort of thing. So that's
As a
sort of social.
barrister or as
social
a solicitor?
I haven't really thought that one through yet. I have no plans to retire yet. But yeah, so there was that. They were the areas. So again, it's about the people, isn't it, and the stories.
There's something compelling about those people who do roles that make a huge difference, aren't there, as well?
Yeah,
I think you said your dad is a prison governor.
yeah,
Those kind of
yeah.
things. Yeah. I think that's sometimes in the legal sector, therefore we can lose sight of the difference that we do make, and we do, right? But I think we've got to kind of get close to it as well, or at least make sure that we spend some of our time making sure that we remind ourselves of the difference.
The work that we do at Capsticks is very much about the community. You go out there and we only work with organisations that make a difference. You go out there and you can see stuff that's happened because of what we've been involved in. And that's the feedback we get from the people at the firm. That's what they really like about the firm. And particularly with an eye on sort of, the next generation really want to make a difference. And if we're going to keep people and progress that talent, that's what we need to do. So that's the decision we made.
To like being purpose driven ahead of it being trendy and fashionable to
Yeah. So we don't do big corporate deals. We don't have, big banks or anything like that. And I think, in the past, some people have sort of been a bit sniffy about doing work in the NHS or in the housing sector, regulatory, but we absolutely love it.
I see that loud and clear. If you let's say you were appointed Law Society president for the year, what would be in your manifesto? What are the things that you'd focus on for the year?
I don't think a year's enough, is it? I think that is part of the problem. I don't think a year's enough to affect change. I think there's been some really good in the past law society presidents. It has to be around diversity of the profession. If you look at the profession, we are not making progress. Is it something like 90 black partners in the profession, only two of which are at Capsticks? I mean, that's just not good enough, isn't it? So it's about how you progress the profession to reflect the communities that it serves. I think the next three law society presidents are all male, white males.
Yeah, I didn't know there's only 90 black partners within the top 100.
No, I think within the law, I don't know how many. Is it like 100? Going 110,000 solicitors or something like that.
Wowzers. Okay, I'll go and have a look at the diversity stats. There is a very good diversity tool on the kind of Law Society's website as well, so I'll go and have a look at that and pay some attention to it.
Where some people have come along and tried to make progress, but a year's not enough, is it really?
No, I think that's absolutely right. Okay, good. Much food for thought there. You can see I'm puzzling it away in my head as well. Any recent successes or things about the firm that you think, oh, that's really Capsticks in a nutshell? If I were to tell it, one of my stories, this would be the story I would tell.
And usually I'm not going to do it about clients actually. It's about our reciprocal mentoring program.
Okay.
So we launched it yesterday. It was year two. So putting culturally and ethically different groups together, partners and more junior lawyers, and having reciprocal mentoring. So I did it last year with one of our brilliant lawyers, and you understand each other's stories and perspectives. And for me, I will say, well, what do you think about this? Can we do this in the firm? And it's just getting that, and then they will share, any barriers they might have, any privileges that I've had that I might not think about. And it's been a real sort of connection within the firm. And I think the idea behind it is that we then, you try and make the firm a better place and more diverse.
Yeah.
So that I think that captures what Capsticks is all about, actually.
Have
Um,
there been a lot, that's a lovely story. Have there been a lot of people coming forward to take part in year two as well?
yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think how many we've got. I think we're up to about 50 in total. We've had over the 2-year cohort.
I spoke to Matt Schwartz about it recently, who is a DLA's kind of head of finance over in the States, venture cap and things like that as well. And he was one of 3 founding partners in the States about mentoring as well. And they start to offer it, I think, post pandemic. And American lawyers, as you know, probably get even less of that kind of coaching just because of the nature of eat what you kill. And he said that the adoption rate has just been huge. I mean, so many people have
Mhm.
taken up on the offer. Was it within the firm? Did it all take place within the same
It's all within the firm.
organisation?
It's all within the
And something that you'd commend to other senior partners to look at for doing for their.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm happy to talk to anyone about it. I've spoken to clients about it. It's just been a really brilliant initiative. Just opens your eyes, doesn't it, to the things that we all make assumptions about stuff. But actually seeing another person's story, seeing another person's perspective gives you a much better understanding when you come to make decisions around things.
Yeah, I think that's really clever. Okay, I'm going to come back to that topic as well. I remember back in the day, Slaughters had done something with a school, I think, in Hackney, and from memory, I think the managing partner had a kind of coaching relationship with the head of the trust or the head of the school as well.
Yeah, I mean, the key to it is confidentiality. So you can talk to the individual around. I find myself getting coached by them quite often, which is brilliant, really liberating.
I could do with a bit of that, I'm sure, as well. That's good news. Final question, because I've taken up so much of your time, but
Mhm.
what do you wish that more people knew about the firm that they don't currently know?
How brilliant the people are, actually. How brilliant and how funny they are and committed to doing the right thing for each other. So they've got each other's backs, but they've also got their clients' backs as well.
There you go. In a nutshell, I think you've just described the kind of firm that people might want to work at, especially if they're not up for big corporate deals and working in finance as well. So that's good.
Oh, I'm sure they're delightful, but
Yeah. Well, look, the different different structures of different posts.
yeah.
Um, Thank you so much for joining me for this episode as well. If you're
Okay.
watching this episode and you've enjoyed it, then please feel free to subscribe or give Rachel a follow on LinkedIn. I would. I think that she's just one of those people who I say naturally kind of lifts up the firm and says nice things about her people all the time. So please do give her a follow there as well. And then tell your friends about the podcast. Thousands of people have watched the episodes over the last few weeks. It's been lots of fun doing it. Rachel, thanks again for joining me today.